TradeTheNBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 21st, and welcome to fall. Not too surprised with where we're at. Obviously, you can see that the magenta continued to fade instead of its move upward. That left us, well, whether or not the 23 would hold, or at least as I thought we would get late term buyers at the end of the day, which we ended up getting exactly that. And that was mostly the steel was enough to just keep it from an implosion. Things started to look pretty ugly, but recovered reasonably well. And we still have that orange DOC here. Declining, hasn't dipped below red, and still haven't gotten that turnaround from the green DOC. So midterm buyers, and that's still soft, and that we expected that because we're during that lockup period for buybacks, as well as some of the funds prevented from making certain trades. So we knew that liquidity for big buyers would be limited throughout this entire week, and we've seen the effect of that. It still hasn't been horrible, so nothing too serious to complain about there. In line with what the readings continue to suggest. We've been in red since, well, the end of August, pretty much so for a full month here. And you can see that the market from a year-to-year standpoint on that other ES there was 18% lower. NASDAQ has been hitting up against the 23%, and that's been a little bit of resistance for it. Identical readings, though, from a DOC, and that a little bit stronger. But you see now that we're reaching a point where short-term buyers kind of like spent. So that makes it a little tougher for the remainder of the week because the pivot lower for steel on the DOC for short-term buyers is not going to be fun. The euro, well, the sad euro, and there's nothing you can do for it there. But they've been holding it pretty close to the zero parity, almost even to the dollar, slightly under at this particular stage. So that certainly helps with the tourism because there's certainly a lot of Americans here in Italy, but definitely makes it problematic for locals, particularly if they want to travel. So it's endemic of what's been going on, and we even see it things as simple as Oktoberfest, where they're not going to be running heaters. There's potential blackouts in certain areas, and so there's some pretty big discounts going on for events for Oktoberfest. So anyone who's interested in running over to Germany for that, you obviously bring your heavy jackets because they're not going to be heating anything for a while. And again, where that potential view that by the beginning of the year, or even before then, we're going to start that deflationary cycle as things with energy side just get priced out, and or the supply of which is just not available. And we've already seen it started in Germany with businesses not being able to sustain themselves and just literally having to shutter. From an oil standpoint, still holding in that low 80. Again, that bottom threshold with the U.S. suggesting that they're going to buy for their strategic reserve around 80 sort of creates a little bit of a threshold pocket there. And interestingly enough, we get the fade here of the MBI white and the spike up of magenta at this particular stage. Certainly would create a new buy effect, but limited because you can see shorts still active within that setup. It's just not able to break below that support. Bitcoin still hovering right at the dangerous spot, and any real significant weakness in the market, I think you would see that break significantly. So that's something to bear in mind. Continued weakness. Likewise with ETH here, still above its 23%, so holding pretty consistent to what the ES is doing, and looking pretty similar to that. Still a lot of uncertainty as to where things are going to go. Obviously, they're not going to be great. The question really in everyone's mind is how severe the recession is and how soon the Fed has to pivot. That's literally all the talk that exists at this particular stage. Um, from an MBI standpoint, you can see MBI white leading here and well above the 40 plus range. So it's just a matter of if that magenta dips below the yellow at this particular stage. I think you would see a significant move lower, and you can see we're already in that crossover of shorts above midterm buyers here from a 50K standpoint. And that's what we saw, a lot of variety within the 5K. So we started off with the decline I had marked on the video before, the 39, then the 38.93, and there were even a couple other ones that were a little further down. And of course, we had that lower one down here at the 38.60 range uh, and 80. So came all the way down to it and supported right off it. That's where it caught a little bit of a buy after the early morning selling. Then we got a small move back up to the same algo level resistance, and that's why we mark these, because relevant when you're up at that algo resistance level, and then boom, you break below that 33 with the magenta, and that in this particular case, you had cyan under red. It was just a matter of waiting for the green flip, and it went red at that point, and boom, all the way back down to it, broke below it, and then it became slight resistance on the upside coming back. And that's when we started getting towards that end of day, and that's when buyers were seeing the opportunity to go ahead and jump in and then utilize that same spot to then flip and use it as the support to go long. Still pretty hard for them to sustain upside movement even towards the end of the day. It started to fade right at the close there. This is the post market right here, has already started a little bit of a buyback from it, and I would expect that that's probably going to build a little bit. We saw from the 50K was still okay, but there you have it, another fantastic range day, back and forth, and pretty easy to play from what we're seeing from the pay bars. So exciting from that standpoint, because it just makes it easy to follow signals. That's it, just follow the signals. Um, don't have to reinvent the wheel on that one. It's pretty straightforward from our viewpoint. But if you're not following them, you can get whipsawed quite a bit with this. A lot of people would see some of these as attractive buys, but as you can see from the dots, saying nope, nothing happening there. I'm going to be gone now for the rest of the week. As always, though, I will try and check in and update if possible. I'm going to be in a little bit more of a remote area. I'm not sure I'll be able to, but continue to follow what those signals are. And as always, trade well. We'll talk again later.